Hey, cue the music! There we go. Hey everybody, Dan Schinder here on Yesshift with,
Steven Schinder.
and we're here to talk about Yes's second released single from the new album called All Connected.
Yeah, so this is the second song from Mirror to the Sky, and it came out last night for us, yesterday for a lot of people in different parts of the world. This is huge. Like, the rollout is, the album is just around the corner, like a little less than a month. So we got some cool stuff to talk about here regarding this song, All Connected.
I want to step out of bounds just a little bit. I want to start with the logo for the song that's on the screen.
Okay.
I like it. I love it. Roger Dean is my favorite artist, besides my wife. And but the lettering for All Connected was almost impossible for me to read when I saw it on my phone. I had to look at it on this 3-foot monitor that I'm looking at now and enlarge it for me to, what does that say? I can't quite make it out. You know, I felt like that, but it's beautiful. I love it. It's a new theme. It's a new font. We saw it before with the release of the album.
Yeah, I feel like they may have used this lettering for the previous single, Cut from the Stars, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
that's correct. And I do love the border, the starry border, but I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. I do kind of like the bubble kind of theme that they're going with there. But yeah, I guess that's a good point. If you don't already know what the song is called, it might be
It was like a
little
puzzle.
Yeah. But overall, the logo against the black background, it kind of reminds me of Open Your Eyes, whether
I
that's
agree.
intentional or not.
Totally, I agree. Yeah, it pops off, and I like that.
Yeah. So, what were your first impressions when, like, listening to this song, Dad? Like, we'll talk about the song and then we'll talk about the video a bit.
So I want to preface by saying I've been like this since I was a kid. When an album came out back then, I would just lift the needle and just skim through the album. Like, I don't know why. There's no strategy to that. You might land on something you like. You might land on something that makes you go, huh? But there's no way you're getting a big picture of something. So out of a almost 60-year-old habit, I did that with this song. And I listened to the first, like, maybe 10, 15 seconds, and then did my digital version of doing that. And when I first heard the first 10 to 15 seconds, quite honestly, I was looking for something to just start and hit me in the face. And it didn't do that. And that's okay. It's very much within bounds with decades of Yes music. You know, not all songs start out like that. But given the position of the album and the fact that this is the second single, I was kind of expecting, like, okay, boys, we got to hit them with something that's going to, and it didn't quite do that. However, when I skimmed through, how long is the track again, Steve? It's like
9 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say
very
9 minutes.
lengthy.
Yeah, which I loved. So skimming through it, I thought, each drop of the imaginary needle was completely different. And then that lifted me up, no pun intended, to just, okay, let me take this whole thing in. And so those are my first impressions from that silly method I've been using my whole life. How about you? And did you listen to the whole thing, or do you do the same thing? I don't recall.
So I totally understand your method. Like, you're used to it and it's tried and true in your experience. It's kind of like a trailer in a way, like it gives you bits of the whole.
Yeah, I'm teasing
But for
myself,
me,
basically.
but for me, I like to listen to a new song from start to finish so that I can, like, I kind of want to go in, like, with my eyes closed and just experience the whole thing first before, like, I kind of want to be surprised. And I feel like doing that, like, starting and waiting for the whole thing to finish, like, that gives me more of a surprise factor, if you will.
That makes sense.
Um, yeah, and I really like this. So I've only listened to this. Um, I mean, people are gonna think that this is silly. I've only listened to this song maybe 3 times so far.
Same here.
Oh wow,
Exactly.
that's wild.
Yeah. You know why I think, well, two reasons why.
Yeah, I have a reason, but
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
One reason why is I wanted it to stay fresh. I didn't want to over listen and over analyze. That can come. Number two, for the sake of time. And three, I don't like it very much. No, I'm kidding about the last one. No, just the first two reasons. And by the way, chime in, folks. Let us know answers to the same questions that Steve and I are asking about. We never pre-conversate about this stuff. It's all fresh and organic and authentic. And let us know where you are. I'm in the mountains 100 miles east of Phoenix, up in Globe, Arizona. Steve's in Downey, California. Where are you watching or listening from? But yeah, I
Yeah.
did the same thing. I intentionally kept it to 3.
Okay. Cause well, my reasoning is um I want to make sure I don't wear out the song too much so that and the same goes for Cut from the Stars. Like I tried not to wear that out too much because when the album comes out, I don't want to have this feeling of like I kind of want to skip these
I've
couple
heard
tracks
it,
and get
been there,
to
done
the
that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
want to like you said, I wanted to stay
Fresh
fresh
and so
and
come up in the context of the whole album.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it'll still feel new in that sense, like hearing it in that context.
I'm with you on that. In fact, I haven't listened to Cut from the Stars for that reason since we did the episode on that.
Oh wow. Yeah, I've heard it maybe a couple times at least since then, but I feel like bits of it are familiar enough already that it pops into my head every now and then. So I guess that's a good indicator of an earworm
Yeah,
right there. So
absolutely.
I'll just read a few comments real quick. I see that Adam Parrish said he's loving the new single and Jay's drumming is sounding solid on it. Gina Casulo says tuning in from South Florida here.
Nice. Thank you
Um,
both.
I think there were a couple more. Let me just scroll down. Um,
Eli Golden's in Ohio.
oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see what. Oh, here's another comment.
Yeah.
Andrew Boyle says, I listen like Steven, the whole song maybe 3 times, but like Dan, not over listen to it yesterday. It didn't hit me as I really like this track, like Cut from the Stars. That's interesting.
Yeah, I want
Um,
to just real quick before we go on. I want to read Gina's other comment. She says, "I like it.
okay.
Definitely some nice grooving bass lines from Billy, and I always love Steve's slide guitar."
Okay, yeah, I knew I saw another comment from her, but the way the thing is, okay, yeah, glad you caught that.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the music video that they put out for this? You know, they have more graphics and it's a lyric video again, like with all the words.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one?
So, folks, for those of you who don't know, I'm a video guy. Video production has been part of my acumen and hobby and art for about 23 years. So, as a video guy, I don't know if I'm giving it a fair shake, if you will, but for music videos, that's what I want to see. I want to see the band playing or B-roll from them recording,
Right. Like we
or
did see photos, but not performances.
yeah, or almost falling out of a dune buggy with the drummer driving. You know, I want to see stuff like that. However, I don't want to see storyline videos, but as a video person, I also recognize that it's a beautiful looking video. It's very modern. As far as lyrics go, for me personally, it was a little harder to follow with the two different size fonts. They were
Mm.
greatly different, but I know that they're doing that for emphasis. I think it's great. It's not exactly my cup of tea, but I'm not going to say, well, just because it's not my thing, it sucks. I'm not like that. Like lineups and whatnot. I think that it's a beautiful video. It's modern, and it's cool that it's a lyric video so that people can kind of learn as they go. Like all of us have that one or three songs where for 20 years or whatever we were singing the wrong word or something.
Yeah.
So, I definitely have mine. But your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, there were a few moments where the timing of the word fully forming felt like it wasn't completely in sync with
And it
the
makes you
words that
work.
were being sung.
Yeah, it kind of
But
makes you work, I think, when that happens.
yeah, so there were a few instances of that, but for the most part, I was able to follow it. There's some interesting words in there, like karma chromatic. I don't know if that's been a word before, but I guess it is now, so that's very
And
interesting.
chromatic is a musical term.
Yeah, and also true pathways, like that sounds like a little throwback to be over, and it's very fitting that they put these doorways like right at the beginning of the
I
video.
liked
I thought,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch right there, and the purple, like I feel like the color scheme throughout the video is very much to my liking, and the globe, the
I was
world,
just going to
like
say
as
illuminated lines and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like the world as it's rolling, like sort of like a marble. Um, so I think I like this video a bit more than the Cut from the Stars one for whatever reason. I think I'm more into like these abstract graphics that they go for in this one. I should mention that the writing credits for All Connected are John Davison, Steve Howe, and Billy Sherwood. And I feel like right away, like early on, you get like those little did it, or it's kind of similar to Fortune Seller, like the sort of scat singing, and then like 3.5 minutes in, there's a sort of change in the music, especially in the drum beat that kind of reminds me of "Bring Me to the Power."
Oh,
So bits like that remind me of mid to late '90s, yes, but the stuff that Steve does, particularly in the beginning, also makes me think of classic, yes. So
yeah.
it's interesting how consciously or not, it feels like they're melding the different eras. I see Lindsay McDonald says, "I agree with Steven." Okay, that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, and that just came in while you were saying that last bit. The other thing about this sound, and I know we're probably going to dive deeper into that, is yeah, I liked the tempo and time signature changes, but that slide of Steve's is just so yes esque.
Yeah,
It's just so part of. It's almost like the ethos of their sound when Steve's in the band. It really kind of stitches it together with many eras, if you will.
yeah, I totally agree. So what do you think All Connected tells us about the upcoming album, Mirror to the Sky? Like, does it sort of inform your expectations a bit more? Like, what's your feeling on that?
It does because it's a longer piece of music, and with all those changes, I think it's going to be.
Changes.
I think it's going to be very robust musically and more. I don't want this to sound like a criticism. I don't want them to take this as a criticism. We know some of them watch or listen, but musically more depth than the Quest, if you will, and Heaven and Earth. Like it sounds like they're almost sort of. I don't want to say going full circle. That wouldn't be fair and it wouldn't be right.
I thought you were gonna say going for the one.
No, but just like kind of circling back to more artful substance in the music. And again, there's no way to say it without someone possibly taking it the wrong way. I hope everyone understands what I mean and that the band means, but there's a lot of musical substance there, a lot of different things. So if all those different things are in that one song, I'm kind of expecting each other individual track to have its own identity.
Yeah, even the band members feel that Heaven and Earth could have been much better. But I feel like much of us and the band members themselves feel like the Quest was a good step in a good direction. Like, um, they were working harder on that one, and now that on this one, it feels like sway more toward longer form compositions, which I think we were kind of
Yeah,
expecting a bit more of on the Quest, but now like with this new album Mirror to the Sky doing this, it feels like I think these two albums back to back will really age well. Like the Quest had this sort of music, and then Mirror to the Sky has this sort of music, and I like that they don't so far feel too similar to each other, which
right.
is bizarre because they're like a year and a half apart. There's only one change in the lineup, and
Yeah.
it's really fascinating.
A couple other musical notes, no pun intended, is I love Jay's drumming on it, and I could be very critical about that. I've been playing drums 54 years, Yes fan since 1971, and I knew Alan. Alan was like a huge. I studied every nuance of his drumming and just
Mm.
love playing that music. But I think Jay does a great job, and it sounds like Yes, really, really good job. And I think John's voice sounds better than I've ever heard it. So that had a huge influence on my expectation of the rest of the album. He really sounds good.
Yeah, he definitely does.
And if my
I'll,
math is right, this is the oldest he's ever been on an album. But
yeah.
his voice sounds like it's really progressed, and he's really, really found a groove with that song. It's just spectacular.
Yeah, I'll read a couple more comments and then we'll get to these other questions we
Okay.
have. Gina Casulo adds, I thought the video was visually pleasant and kind of soothing. I like the abstract patterns. I do agree, though, that I generally prefer to see clips of the band playing versus lyric videos or storylines. Lindsay McDonald adds, the video was awesome. I did love the art of it too. Shout out to Jay Shellen, love his drumming. Um, and Eli Golden says, good night. Okay, I guess off to sleep. But yeah. So this next question that I had was, how do you think it compares to Cut from the Stars from your point of view? Like, which song do you prefer between these two singles so far?
That's interesting because I didn't pull out Cut from the Stars after I heard this to sort of answer that for myself. So I'm kind of reflecting, and it's been, a little while since I heard that, but I like them both a lot. This one gives me more, I'm imagining more of an impression on what the rest of the album will be like because
Okay.
of the different, ingredients that it has. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I prefer this one a bit more over Cut from the Stars. I feel like there's some stuff that's done instrumentally that's a bit more to my liking, my forte, what I like to take in.
Mm-hmm. You know
Um,
what else I just thought of? Oh, go on, and then I'll answer because it might
oh
not
no,
have
go
any.
ahead.
Well, I just realized, okay, it's 9 minutes. Is there going to be a single version of this? And then I thought, if this is the second release, how long was Cut from the Stars? Six or something?
5 minutes,
Yeah,
I
and if
think.
this is
Yeah.
the second one and it's a second single or second release and it's that long, I don't know if they care about radio play. I mean, I'm sure they
Yeah.
care, but I don't think they're designing certainly not designing anything for radio play. I don't think
Yeah.
they ever did. I don't even think they did with Owner of a Lonely Heart. I don't know if they expected that to do what it did, or Roundabout, or Gates of Delirium. But
Yeah, I was kind of surprised it's the full song because
yeah,
I mean, thinking back to when From a Page was being promoted, the first track To the Moment was released as a single edit. Like it cut out a solo bit, but it still felt like a full song and very
yeah.
complex. So,
Now, wouldn't it be funny if
yeah.
this was the edited down version and it's a 14-minute song and they
I
surprise us with that?
yeah, I mean that would be, but looking at the track, like the timestamps that have already been put out for each of these tracks, it looks like this is the full song, but
Yeah.
there's still another 9 minute song on the album and
What's that one
another
called again?
Luminosity.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that piques interest. I like that.
Yeah, and
Now I
then
wonder what the video looked like for that, being that this one had all those illuminated lines and everything.
mm, Yeah, I'm curious if they do more videos after the album's release because they did that with the Quest like
Right.
a couple months after. But that brings me back to another thing that I thought of. I remember back in the lead up to the Quest, we had the Ice Bridge as the first single, and then we had Dare to Know, and Dare to Know was kind of softer, and I think some of us were like, "Oh, I don't know what to expect now." Like, some people were like tempering expectations, but like,
Yeah.
how do you think this as a second single kind of compares to that? Like, just compare and contrast.
I think this is way up there and piques interest and expectations a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I liked Dare to Know. Like it had a classic Yes
I liked
feel,
that. Yeah.
but I can get how like going from the Ice Bridge to that is kind of like they feel like so different from each
Yeah.
other, but they sound really good in the context of the whole album, like hearing all the different stuff that's on there.
Yeah. Like imagine if you heard as the first two releases of an album, Big Generator and then Holy Lamb. Like,
Oh yeah,
how do
those
you
are
even
totally
have
different.
expectations after that? Anything goes in between, you know?
Yeah. Um
This isn't to
let's
that extent, but
right. So is this a song that you would like to see performed live
yeah.
if okay.
Maybe I'm in the minority and I'd love for you and the viewers and listeners to answer this. As I skim mentally through the entire Yes catalog, I can't think of something I wouldn't want to see performed live,
Mm.
with one
Yeah, and
exception.
I've seen All Good People.
Yeah, I don't. I could do without seeing that again because to me it takes up space of something that maybe hasn't been done or
Yeah.
it gets pulled way out. But serious, that was serious. But even more seriously, I can't think of something that's like, I wouldn't want to hear that. Time as Time was great to see live. They only played Arriving UFO, I think, once or a couple times ever, and I
Yeah,
love how that.
very yeah.
Yeah, I love how that sounds live. It's powerful. So that to me, that's I don't want to say it's a throwaway question. I just think it's almost like an I got you answer. Like, okay, what do you got? Really? There's something you don't want to see perform. You know what I mean? What about
Okay.
you? And what about the audience, folks? Let us know. Like, could you
Yeah.
ever hear something you wouldn't want to see live?
Yeah, I'd like to see this performed live. Like I've said before on the show, that Dangerous is my least favorite Yes song,
I don't remember why.
but thinking about it, if it were like it kind of feels like just like club music to me. But I think if it were performed in concert, maybe I would get in the groove of it. Like it would still be a surprise. Like yeah, I would still be thinking, why play that when they could play this? But it would still be a bold choice.
Yeah.
And I remember recently, one or a couple of the band members were saying somewhere that they were really feeling encouraged when they saw positive reaction to when they put a couple tracks from the Quest in concert last year.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that bodes well for playing a good chunk of Mirror to the Sky whenever
Yeah.
they tour. Andrew
Absolutely.
Boyle says a lot of musical substance. Like Dan, I agree. It's a longer composition. Didn't hear much of Jeff Downes on this track, but I think it's going to be different from the Quest, which was really liked.
Cool.
Yeah, so
And we're
um,
gonna zip through the rest because guess what, folks? We're doing another show right after this one.
yeah, we are. Um, so, so what are you kind of I mean this might be a silly question because like we never know what to expect from an album completely, but what do you expect from Mirror to the Sky once we do get it on May 19th?
I think possibly Luminosity and maybe even shorter songs might be more. I'm imagining what's the word? Not esoteric, but more artsy, more indulgent.
Mm.
If this is
Yeah.
the second release, you typically release one, two songs to hook people in. And often with most bands, not necessarily Yes or ELP or, bands like that, usually what hooks them in is the easiest to digest and listen to. So I'm thinking there could be some things that are on this album that have even more twists and turns than this, or the whole song is one specific crazy twist, or, that's what I'm thinking. But I won't be
Yeah.
disappointed if that's not the case. If the whole album sounded a lot like these first two songs, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, so would I. I'm very curious about whether the title track, which will be 14 minutes, whether that might end up being my favorite, but I guess we'll see. And there will, of course, probably be more orchestration moments like we've heard.
Do you think so? Like,
yeah, like on Cut from the Stars, there's that bit, and I think that'll probably be on at least a couple more tracks, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be interesting if they were more stripped down. It's just the opposite. Or stripped downs.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it unless you have like any more comments about the song.
No, I think that's it. This is episode 98. We're going to go
97.
off. Oh, yeah, 97. Sorry. 97. We're going to go off for just a moment or two and come back with episode 98 with guest Joe Cass. And then Steve and I are going to figure out episode 99 and 100. And my idea for episode 100 was for everyone to put together their ideal 100 song yes set list. But Steve gave me a look, so I don't think we're doing that. We'll figure something out that
we would be here all night if that were
that'd
the
be fun.
topic.
but we'll do something that will involve you folks, engaging and putting in your 3 cents and everything like that. We still have a bunch of unused ideas from ourselves and from our viewers as well. Steve mentioned one before we came on that I forgot about that. Oh, that's a good one. So maybe that'll be 99 and we'll talk about number 100.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, we broadcast on facebook.com/Yesshift, and then it goes on youtube.com/@Yesshift. Go to anchor.fm/Yesshift to see all the podcasting platforms we're on, and
with
you
a
can
donate button
if you'd like. Yeah. And you can email yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com with any feedback or show ideas, and we might read stuff on the show.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be off for a moment and then be live again with another episode.
Thanks, folks, so much for following what we do. I can't believe we're ending April already, which is crazy. So we've got a lot of showtime left for this year, and I'm sure a lot of new news that'll come out, and guests. We're going to have more guests. We're working on guests. We've had a lot of great guests from the whole Yes universe. So thanks, and we'll see you soon.